Book 3, Chapter 44, Verse 47. Such are the representations of your former ministers and citizens, imprinted as realities in your soul, together with the exact time and place and manner of their functions as before. Because the consciousness of all things is present in the omnipresent Spirit of God. So the idea of royalty is inherently in the soul of the king. This notion of his goes before him like his shadow in the air, with the same structure, stature and features, and the same acts and movements as he had before. In this manner, Leela, know this world is only a shadowy reflection of the eternal ideas of God, and find that this reflection is caught by or refracted in the consciousness of all animal souls, like in a prismatic mirror. Everything shows itself in every place, in the form in which it is. So whatever is the individual soul casts out a reflection of itself, and a shadow of it is caught by the intellect that is situated outside it. Here is the sky containing the world in which you and I and this prince are situated, like reflections of the one ego only. Know all these are contained within the empty womb of consciousness and remain as tranquil and transparent as emptiness itself. Chapter 45. The second Leela gets a boon the first didn't. How we seek is how we obtain. Saraswati continued. Know, Leela, that this Vidarata, your husband, will lose his life in the battlefield, and his soul will return to the tomb of the inner apartment where it will resume its former state. Vasishta. Upon hearing these words of the goddess, the second Leela, who was standing by, bent herself lowly before the goddess and addressed her with her folded palms. The second Leela said, Goddess, the genius of intelligence, is ever adored by me, and she gives me her visits in my nightly dreams. I find you are exactly of her likeness. Therefore, give me your blessing, O goddess, with the beautiful face. Vasishta said, the goddess, being addressed by the lady in this way, remembered her faith and reliance in her, then politely spoke to the lady, standing as a suppliant before her. The goddess said, I am pleased, my child, with your unfailing and undiminished adoration of me all your lifetime. Now say what you want of me. The second Leela said, ordain, O goddess, that with this body of mine, I may accompany my husband to whatever place he is destined to go after his death in the war. The goddess replied, "Be it so, my child, who has worshipped me with flowers, incense, offerings, and all diligence without fail." Leela said. The second Leela was cheered by this blessing of the goddess. The first Leela was much puzzled. In her mind at the difference between their states. The first Leela said, "Those who desire truth and they whose desires lean toward godliness have all their wishes fulfilled without delay and fail. Then tell me, goddess, why could I not keep company with my Brahman husband, with my body of the Brahmani, but had to be taken to him in the mountain home after my death?" The goddess answered, saying, "Know, O excellent lady, that I have no power to do anything. Everything happens according to the desire of the living being. Know me only as the presiding divinity of wisdom, and I reveal everything according to my knowledge of it. It is by virtue of the intellectual powers exhibited in every being that it attains its particular end. A living being has a certain development of mental powers and a state when he desires an object. He attains that object according to the same development of mental powers and state. What is being presented here is the exact nature of divine karmic traces. The universe is created as a residence, as a place to live for the evolving jivas. It does not interfere with their activities or their actions beyond certain established principles, which are the divine karmic traces or the laws of nature that construct the universe. Beyond that, everyone is free to do as they like. So that means that whatever happens in the universe to individuals is caused by the individuals that it's happening to. It could be another way. So this clearly illustrates divine karmic traces and individual karmic traces and the role that each have. Divine karmic traces are a quiet display of the residence. Individual karmic traces are the chaotic activity that has transpired in the past and are pushing the individuals on toward their future. But Saraswati, the goddess of knowledge, literally the expression of divine karmic traces, explicitly states, I have no power to do anything. Everything happens according to the desire of the living being. So one has a choice to continue living in this house forever, repeating again and again the birth and the death that brought them into the house and take them out of the house, until at some point one begins to realize there is more to existence than the endless cycle of birth and death. And then, according to the desire of the living being, one can take exit of the house and move on to the next stage of his evolution. Verse 15. You had attained the powers of your understanding by your devotion to my service. You have always desired from me that you will be liberated from flesh. Accordingly, I have awakened your understanding in that way, whereby you have been able to arrive at your present state of purity. It is because of your constant desire for liberation that you have gained the same state by enlargement of the powers of your consciousness. So here, Saraswati reveals the strategy for awakening. And that is devotion to my service. Devotion to realigning with divine karmic traces. This realignment is the action taken to balance individual karmic traces that keep one confined to the inside of the house. Verse 18. Whoever exerts his bodily powers according to the dictates of his understanding is sure to succeed in gaining his object sooner or later. So here we're told this is exactly how we achieve Jivan Mukti. Jivan Mukti is enlightenment while still in the physical body. By moving always in the direction of alignment with the divine karmic traces, we are sure to succeed in gaining this object of Jivan Mukti. Verse 19. Without cultivation of the intellect, performance of austerities and adoration of gods are in vain, as to expect fruit to fall from the sky. Another very important point is being revealed here. What is cultivation of the intellect? Because it says without it, all is in vain. What the intellect does is decide between two things. Does it? And what is the ultimate decision? That is the identification of the silent witness and identifying one's self as the silent witness. Without doing that, all the activities of austerities and adoration of gods are in vain. In other words, attempting to align with divine karmic traces without being established as the silent witness is a waste of time. The karmic traces on the deepest level, which is the knowledge construct level, will never be balanced without transcending and taking the position of the silent witness beyond this level of the faulty knowledge constructs. Once we can take that level of transcending, we have to transcend beyond the silent witness in the prana body. We have to transcend beyond the silent witness in the manomaya kosha. And then when we do, when we transcend beyond the silent witness of the manomaya kosha, then our alignment activity with these divine karmic traces is permanent and successful. Knowledge constructs have been balanced to become divine karmic trace knowledge constructs. In verse 20, without cultivation of the intellect and exertion of manly powers, there is no way to success. So here we have another important clue. We have to become established as the silent witness. Then what do? We exert our manly powers, which is another way of saying we exert our will. We are become determined to maintain our self as the silent witness. Because our karmic traces, when we first connect with the silent witness, always threaten to take us out of the silent witness and back into the miry soup of samsara. We cannot just allow that to happen. We have to maintain our alertness and our intention to maintain ourself as the silent witness. What that means is we're not gritting our teeth and holding on for dear life, but we're keeping the ship pointed in the direction of success. So when we slip from the silent witness, we notice it. At first, we don't notice it until much later. We're established in the silent witness, living in the present moment, in the now. And then we realize The mind is thinking. The mind is planning. Memories are coming up. We are remembering and identifying with the memories. And we realize, just like we might realize while dreaming, aha, I have slipped out of the silent witness. I know where the silent witness is. I will find the silence. I will connect with the silence. I will identify as the silence once again. I am the silent witness. If you do this, you may choose for yourself to be the silence or to be lost in the almost endless activity of the individual karmic traces. Verse 21. Truly the state of one's mind leads his eternal soul to that state upon which it thinks, and to that prosperity which it attempts to attain. Another important point, that we have only one ability as human beings. And that is the ability to think a thought and to choose which thought to think and to choose where to be established while thinking that thought. But it all boils down to this ability of discrimination, to think or not to think, what to think, what not to think. That's our only ability. With that ability, the game is achieve Jivan Mukti. There's only that one rule in this game. In verse 22, she says, now distinguish between what is desirable or disagreeable for you, and choose that which is holy and perfect, and you will certainly arrive at it. So here we are again. Another very important point. Which has already been discussed, but is discussed again in slightly different perspective. But it is the essence of the Yoga Vasishtha, the essence of achieving Jivan Mukti, the essence of awakening within a dream, is making a choice. Once we make the choice, am I the dream or am I the dreamer? When we make that choice and we choose, I am the dreamer, I am the witness, I am the silence, I am not the actor, I am not the dreamer. Within the dream, I am the dreamer witnessing the dream. by choosing that which is holy and perfect, by choosing, this is Jivan Mukti, stage 1, aligning with divine karmic traces. The question comes, how would you describe the saying, I think, therefore I am? Is it misdirected? Well, it is misdirected because I do not think. If one thinks they think, then they are misdirected. I am only the witness. Thinking takes place in the trapped jivas, mind, or ego. When the statement, I think, therefore I am, this is the declaration of the ego. The ego is trying to prove that it is not an illusion. And so it attributes this ability to think as proof that it is real. But that is no proof at all, only proving that it is illusion. I think, therefore I am not. Yes, that is the proper way to express that. Who was it that said this? Nietzsche? Totally embedded and identified with his illusory ego. Making nonsensical statements, deluding himself and others. Chapter 46, Vidaratha, counterattack. Ram said, tell me what Vidaratha did after he got angry and left the ladies and the goddess, having said what he did, and went from the town. Vasishtha said, Vidaratha, accompanied by a large group of his companions, left his camp like the bright moon beset by a host of stars. He was in armor and girded by laces and girdles, dressed in his military clothing. He went forth amidst the loud cry of sorrow to the vanquished, like God Indra, going to the battle. He gave orders to the soldiers and was informed of the battle array. Well, here we have a nice description of someone totally lost in their illusory ego. Vidaratha thinks he left his camp like the bright moon. No, he didn't leave his camp, did he? Vidaratha didn't go anywhere. Vidaratha's illusory ego was running about dressed in military clothing amidst the loud cry of war. But the true Vidratha is doing nothing. Having given directions to his captains, he mounted his chariot. He was adored with equipment resembling the pinnacles of mountains and beset by 5 flags fringed with strings of pearls and gems, resembling a celestial car. So now we're describing the dream of existence. It has value because we can identify with it. We can identify, yes, I can see this, I can understand the glory of Vidratha and his status as the leader of many. And our false ego can say, I would like that for myself. I want to be the king. I want to be the leader. I want the iron hoops of my wheels flashed with golden pegs. It's children playing, isn't it? There's no intelligence here. It's all just games. Beautiful shafts of the car rang with the tinkling of pearls that were suspended to it. Well, this draws us into the story because within this story, what we're going to do is learn various truths. We're going to be exposed to divine karmic traces. And if we're established in the silent witness, this exposure to divine karmic traces will balance individual knowledge construct karmic traces. And it will shore up and make permanent our state of Jivan Mukti. We can enter the state of Jivan Mukti temporarily. And we do this while in meditation and sometimes while out of meditation. Some people spontaneously arrive at the state of Jivan Mukti. And they live in that state for some days, weeks, months, even years. Usually it's months. I often meet people who said, oh, I was once enlightened. I lived in this incredible enlightened state of the now. And when I was in that state, everything was different and perfect. And everything went by itself. And I had tremendous success in all that I did. But somehow it ended, it went away. And now here I am again, trying to get it back. How do I get back there? Many people have had that story. We can slip through the maze of individual karmic traces. And it happens somewhat spontaneously. Suddenly, there we are. The mind is still. But as we reflect on that, we see it's not the mind that's still, it's I am still, and there, as if off in the distance, is the mind. But it's so far away that it doesn't distract me. The noise of the mind, the grinding of the gears of the individual karmic traces are like cars driving by outside. The sound comes through the window, but I'm not distracted by it. I'm just aware of it. That is the first awakening to the state of Jivan. If one knows, somehow I have awakened. I am in the state of Jivan Mukti. Now I know how to hold on to it. Don't be distracted from this silent witness. Don't allow the noise of the cars going down the street outside the window to take my attention with them. Remain established in the silent witness. And then just by that intention, one can hold on to it. You know, it is the purpose of the Acharya Devata to guide you through the maze of your karmic traces to that experience. And you'll know when you're there. It's timeless, eternal. It's pure. It is silent. And once you have that experience, then you can exert your own intelligence, your will, to perpetuate it. And there will be temptations to jump back into the dark well of samsara. But just don't do it. Remain established in the silent witness. Continue your sadhana. Continue the meditations. Continue the connection with the Acharya Devata. And that will help you. Because with each meditation, the Shakti part that is given to you is Param Jyoti. Absolute Shakti part. Absolute Shakti. Param Jyoti is the effulgence of Krishna that illuminates, makes alive the film of the divine karmic traces. It animates the universe. And it is the perfect antidote for all individual karmic traces. It is the light that enlightens the dark room. And once you have a little crack in the individual karmic traces, wide enough to let some of that light into your dark room, you're very careful to keep that crack open and to widen it and to let more and more light into the dark room. Until finally the crack is so big that you can be assured it won't slam shut again. Verse 7. It was drawn by long-necked, swift and slender horses of the best breed and auspicious marks. Their swiftness and bearing made them seem like they were flying in the air, pulling a heavenly car with some god in it. Impatient of the wind's swiftness, they spurred them with their back heels and left them behind, and sped the forepart of their bodies as if to devour the air, impeding their course. The car was drawn by 8 war horses, with their manes hanging down their necks like fans, and white spots or circlets resembling the discs of moon on their foreheads, and filling the 8 sides around with their horse neighing. So what is Vishishta doing here? He is challenging your silence. He is running 8 war horses down the road outside your window with all their noise and fanfare and grandeur to see if you'll be distracted by them. To challenge your resolve to remain established in the silent witness. It's an exercise. Always remain established in the silent witness. We slip from it. We know we have gone back into identification with the body, identification with the mind, and the thoughts and the memories. As soon as we realize that, we know what is our priority. The priority is not making lunch, cooking the vegetables. No. Our priority is reconnect with that silent witness. Become the silent. The body can finish the job of cooking the vegetables. As long as we do that, we will maintain ourselves, widening the crack in the web of karmic traces until it will never close again.